neighbor and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, you need to check to see if God's hand is on your life. Look at somebody else and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, all I want to say is as you go through this rest of the year, make sure that God's hand is on your life. I want to just briefly, give me about 10 minutes. I want to really talk to you tonight because it's vitally important how we need to understand that now that you have everything that you desire practically, and now that we've been in ministry as long as we've been in ministry and God has blessed us tremendously, we go to our homes and we walk through the living room and the dining room and see the stuff that you've gotten in your house in the last 10 years. See how God has replaced some of those things and upgraded some of those things. It's amazing to me to see that God keeps on blessing us. We like Jabez, oh, that thou would bless me. Any way you bless me, I'll be satisfied. But I just believe that God will give us not just only the desires of our heart, but he will give us what we want. I believe that he will, because he's proved himself over and over again that if I do delight myself in him, he will give me the desires of my heart. But there are some things that I want, that I've been asking for, and I believe that it's coming. Look at your neighbor and say, it's coming. So God allows us to understand that there are some prerequisites of what we need to do to make sure that God's hand is on our life. First of all, we must have a relationship with him, because God is not going to give you nothing if you don't have a relationship with him. It's just like it is those of us that have children, you know, we refuse to give our children things that they love unless they do what we say. Y'all ain't hearing what I'm saying. It's the same way with God. God says, I got all this for you. Matter of fact, commit your ways to me, and I can bring all this that you want to pass. Anything you asked in my name, he said, I'll do it. Anything you want, I got it for you. All you got to do is ask, and it shall be given. He said, seek, and ye shall find. He said, knock, and the door shall be open. He said, I've got all these things for you, but I want to make sure that I have this relationship with you, that you won't get caught up and caught out with some people that will pull you away from me. So that relationship becomes vitally important as God continues the blessings coming into your life. It really baffles me to no end to try to understand how we can live our lives, people of God, without God's hand on our lives. Because it's a sure fact that it's in him that we really live, we move, we have our being. And if you really don't know how blessed you are, just take a look at your legs. Look down at your legs. Look at your feet. Look at your feet. Look down at them. They may be hurting, but look at them and thank God for hurting feet. Thank God that you can feel your toes moving. Thank God that you can feel the blood running warm. I don't hear nobody in here. You ought to thank God that nobody had to wheel you in here. You came in and walked in here with your own 2 feet. And so you need to think about those things. If you ever get twisted about how praising God is so important, just think about your feet. I don't hear nobody in here. Because your feet will make you realize that you can't go nowhere. I don't hear nobody. You need to thank God that you have the activities of your limbs when you're able to function by yourself and nobody has to dress you, nobody has to feed you. And those of us that have had people that we had to work with and you've seen how incapacitated they've become, but they've got to have help. Somebody's got to help them to get dressed. Somebody's got to help them to comb their hair. Somebody's got to help them to, y'all ain't hearing me. Look at your neighbor and say, don't ever forget about about what God has done, you need to thank God right now. That's a good praise break. Thank God for the activities of your limbs. You don't really know how blessed you are until you get without. You don't know how blessed you are until the things that you've had and you've lost them. You really don't know how blessed you are. And so that's why it's important that God's hand be upon your life, because of where God is taking you. Greatness is to all of us, but it only happens when you really show God that you really want greatness to come. And that simply means that you must walk in the statues that God has caused us to walk into. We must have committed lives. We must have dedicated lives. We must make sure that we are separated from the world, and making sure that we understand that God has allowed us to be where we are, and he's called us with a purpose. And the purpose that he's called us to be is why you're sitting in that seat right now, is because he's got something that he wants you to do. That's why the Bible says in John 9:4, I must work the works of him that sent me while it's day. When night cometh, no man can work. My neighbor, you don't want to wait until it's nighttime, because nighttime is not a good time. Nighttime is a season in which you can't do like you used to. Nighttime, your mind starts to fail. Your nighttime, y'all ain't hearing me. You got to make sure that you're doing while you can, and what you can while you can in the daytime, because your seasons are not as long as they used to be. So what God is trying to say now is that everything that you put your hands on, I want to make sure my hand is on it as well. Because if my hand is on it, then I know that whatever or wherever you go, the enemy cannot try to do damage to you, because I've got you surrounded with angels. And angels is an extension of my hand when I can't get to you. Y'all ain't hearing me. Angels is the only thing that gets you up every morning and stop by all of our houses and make sure. It's the only thing that can walk up in your house and you don't even know it's there. Y'all ain't hearing me. Angels are the only thing that can walk through a door and you don't even know that the angel has walked through the door. All you know is that you woke up this morning and you've clothed in your right mind and you've got the activities of your limbs. Look at somebody and say, an angel came by my house. Yeah, that's an extension of God's hand. The extension of God's hand, it's simply saying is that not only do I want my hand on you because of where you're going, but because of the gift that I gave you. You've got to be so protective of your gift that God has given you. You've got to make sure you protect your gift. Make sure you don't allow a lot of people to infringe on your gift. Don't make sure everybody understand and know that God has gifted you, and you can't just prostitute your gift anywhere. Y'all ain't hearing me. You've got to make sure that God covers you, and as he covers you, he will cover your gift. The worst thing to find out is that you've got some people that have a gift, and what they'll do is they'll use their gift, and then the next thing you know it, now they're asking too much money for it. That's when you got to understand that God he's got a plan for your life, but he's watching us to see how we can handle what we got now. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me. Look at your neighbor and say, I wonder, can you handle what you got right now? Because if you can handle what you got right now, then you'll be able to take what's getting ready to come. Oh, I don't hear nobody here. That's why God, every now and then, he will push some things to you to see how you're going to act. If this going to keep you out of church, if this going to stop you from coming to Bible class, if this going to stop you from coming to Sunday morning service. Sometimes God will push some things to you. He'll test you and see if you're really ready for the next move and the next thing that he has for your life. There's some great things that he's about to give to you, but there are some things that you're going to have to let go of so that God can get the glory. I don't hear nobody in here. Yeah, that's what he's saying today, is that a lot of us now are in the position where God has used us mightily, and now he is getting ready to move us to the next level. Well, my friend, on every level there's always a new devil. You've got to know that there's a devil's gonna come. They're coming from the front door, from the back door. They're coming every which way they can. Anytime you're stepping higher and higher in God, the enemy will do whatever he can to try to stop and block your progress. The Bible says he come to do three things: kill, steal, and destroy. But Jesus come that we might have life. Oh, look at somebody and say, have it more abundantly. Matter of fact, the best is about to come because of the abundant life that God has given to us. That's why he said favor is not fair, but it surely is fun. I don't hear nobody in here. It's not fair, but it's fun, because when you understand that sometimes God will allow you to have favor in front of folk that you know that done you wrong. Good God Almighty. God will give you favor in the folk that know that they have set you up and said you'll never have what you have. God will show up in a way that will blow your mind and their mind too. Look at your neighbor and say, matter of fact, that's what God's getting ready to do in the next couple of days. He's getting ready to set you up in front of some people that said that what you have, you won't be able to afford, and what you trying to get, you ain't got the paper for it. The devil is a liar. My Father is rich in houses and land. He holds the wealth of the world in his hand. Who said that God wasn't going to bless you when he said a cattle on 1,000 hills is mine? Who said that God wasn't going to bless you when he said, I'm going to bless you going in and you're coming out? I'm going to bless you in the fields, and I'm going to bless you in the hills. Look at your neighbor. Say, the only reason why you're blessed right now is because you kept your mind on